Hey, what's up, yo? I'm Julio Martinez, and I'm here to give you the first episode of Set the Record Straight. Who is the greatest Raptor of all time? You got four big names. You got Kawhi Leonard, Kyle Lowry, Vince Carter, and DeMar DeRozan. But I'm here to give you the answer and set the record straight. It's Kawhi Leonard. Why is it Kawhi Leonard? Well, folks, let me ask you, what's the ultimate goal in professional team sports? It's to win a championship. Kawhi Leonard not only won a championship for the Toronto organization, but he won their only championship. That elevates him and puts him on another pedestal. And in my eyes, in my view, that eliminates Vince Carter and DeMar DeRozan. But let's even go through those two names. Let's start with DeMar DeRozan. Outside of a few role players getting traded and exchanged, Kawhi Leonard inherited the same exact team DeMar DeRozan had the previous years. Except this time, he could get over the hump. And when talking about a guy in DeMar DeRozan, we're talking about a guy who was benched in the most critical moments of a playoff game by then head coach Dwayne Casey. How can you be an organization's best player of all time if you're benched in the most critical moments? It just doesn't make sense to me. And last point on DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan is a minus 302 in the playoffs for his career overall. That just can't happen. Even if you're not the biggest proponent of the plus-minus category, like myself, you just can't ignore a number that large. You know what that tells me? That tells me you become unplayable at that point. And to be an organization's best player of all time, the greatest player of all time in Raptors history, that just can't happen. Now let's move on to Vince Carter. Let me give you all a few reasons why Vince Carter can't be labeled as greatest Raptor of all time. First, Vince Carter missed the playoffs more times than he actually made the playoffs while in a Raptors uniform. Contrast that with Kawhi Leonard winning the championship and Finals MVP last year, it's uncomparable. Additionally, Vince Carter averaged 22.2 points per game while with the Raptors. Kawhi Leonard in the regular season averaged virtually 27 points per game, and in the playoffs elevated that to 30.5 points per game. Secondly, I think Vince Carter's legacy is two things. It's high-flying ability and it's being with a multitude of different teams. When I think of Vince Carter, I don't think of just the Raptors. I think of the Nets. I think of the Hawks. I think of the Mavericks. I think of the Suns. I think of an abundance of teams, not just the Raptors. It's not like when you think of Kobe, you think of the Lakers. D. Wade, that's Miami. Tim Duncan, that's the Spurs. It's vastly, vastly different. Last but not least, we got Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry can't be labeled as the greatest Raptor of all time if he was never the best or greatest player on his own team while with the Raptors. First, it was DeMar DeRozan, better than him. Then, it was Kawhi Leonard, obviously much better than him. And then it was Pascal Siakam, who's also much better than him. If you were never the best or greatest player on your own team while with that organization, you cannot be labeled as the greatest player of all time for that organization. Also, on Kyle Lowry, this notion that he finally got over this bug and virus that would always attack him come playoff time, that would impede him from performing consistently, is just funny to me. Even if you believe in that notion, that's like me walking into a bar fight with The Rock. Yeah, I don't have to do anything and we're still going to excel and handle business. Kyle Lowry rode the coattails of Kawhi Leonard. And me, I don't even believe in that notion. If you look at just last year, Kyle Lowry had 7 playoff performances, 7 playoff games in which he scored 10 or less points. And one of them was a 0-point performance. In his career overall with the Raptors, he has 15 of those playoff games scoring 10 or less points. It's just the truth. Kyle Lowry can't be labeled as the greatest Raptor of all time with those statistics. I'm not trying to minimize anything he did last year, but you have to add context. He especially cannot be named as the greatest Raptor of all time when you have a guy like Kawhi Leonard who did what he did last year. Come on. Well, there you have it, folks. I eliminated all the names, and the only one left standing is Kawhi Leonard, the Claw. That's how you set the record straight.